Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing this kind of waving bamboo effect. We're going to be doing matrix nodes as well as some curves and kind of moving it all around. I know it's been a minute, but it's important to always look at reference. So I pulled some stylized stuff as well as actual pictures of bamboo to get some ideas. I really kind of like these bamboo with these strong trunks, or whatever they're called, the blades of grass or whatever it is. I think what we're going to do is we're going to do kind of a stylization of the shading to make it kind of look more of like the ink wash style of bamboo, like the shui mo style of painting. I now have a Patreon. I'm using it to post free project files. I'll post this project file on it afterwards, so feel free to go on and just download it and use the effect as you see fit. I think that'll be the easiest way to kind of build a community for the channel and then also share project files. It's free, so just follow. So we are in the scene. We're going to go to geometry nodes and we're going to just do Shift A and we're going to add a grid. So right now, all I'm going to do is just make a bunch of curves on the grid using instances. So instance on points, and then we're going to do a curve line. This here. And let's use like realistic dimensions for now. So let's say 3 meters, and let's resample the curve. Let's go length, let's say every 5 centimeters. And then we're going to also realize the instances so we can actually play around with it. And then we're going to add, then we're going to add a set position. We're going to work on making that kind of a movement effect. So what's cool about the matrix nodes and the new versions of geometry nodes is we can do really kind of dimension dependent kind of movement. So we can get cool curves and stuff like that. So let's just show kind of how to do the setup. So we're going to do a transform point node, put into the position, and we're going to pull in a position node to pull back the original position. Nothing's happening because we're saying the position is becoming the position, and the transform has this red socket now. This red socket is for matrix nodes. So we can then do a combined transform node, and that can be used with all the other different stuff. To make it really obvious, let's look at the combined matrix node. Okay. We're gonna do a little matrix demo right here. Okay, so in matrices, we have, can I draw here? I can, cool. Okay, so classic, so in matrices, right? Essentially it's X, Y, Z, W. That's how it is 3 times. And this is like the solving thing. So it's X1, Y1, X2, Y2, Z2. 3, 3, 3. So this is kind of the matrix right here. So this and this are the same. So what we can see is that on this last one is going to be the translation. So if you move this around, nothing happens because this is just a kind of a blank value. This one will move this scaling of the Y or the Z, right? This is the scaling of the Y. And this is the scaling of the X. Great. Zoom in a little bit. So then if we go here, it's going to move the position. So this is the X, Y, Z of all of the points. And this is the actual position inside the space. So we move this here, it's going to translate it like normal, right? That's all we're comfortable with. This is where it gets interesting. So this is, we know Y, this column 2 is right here. So this is, let me write it down too. So this is X, Y, Z, W. So we know it's column Y. And so then this is going to be also along here, what is that called? The principal diagonal. So this is the principal diagonal, right? So along this, actually it's a 4x4. So it's like this actually. This is just 0, 0, 0. So along this is the principal diagonal. So that's this right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then from there, what will happen is you can then think about these different things. So we know column 3 right here, or column 2 is the Y, right? So then we know if we take the Y and we move this one, which is the first value, which is in the X coordinate, it will shift it along the X axis, right? This is the X axis. So if we shift this one, it will shift on the Z axis, up and down. Look at that, how fun is that? And this last one won't do anything because this is just a blank vector space to make sure we can do kind of nice matrix math because it's square. Obviously, you can go way deeper. We're going to be just using the combined transform, which will kind of dumb it down for us. We pop it in, there's nothing happening, which is to be expected. So what we want to deal with is these rotations right here. So to have the bamboo like rotate in the wind, we basically want this movement, right, on the X or the Y. Like we want it going back and forth like this, or back and forth like this. But we want it to be doing it based off of the length of the Z. The idea is the closer you are to the bottom, the less it's going to rotate. So we can do this with a noise texture. So we're gonna do a noise texture, and like always, do a vector math, and we're gonna minus 0.5 to keep it centered. Then what's going to happen is we're going to split this into its XYZ components for the noise, and we're gonna combine it back and put it into the rotation. So this is a setup I'm sure you guys have seen before. So nice, we know we want the Z component of the noise to impact the X. We put it into here, and now it's all kind of messed up. And then we're gonna go much smaller, like 0.1, make it 4D, and we can move it back and forth. And we're kind of seeing it shift. So the main issue is we're seeing the bottom points right here move. So with the spline parameter, we can multiply that in so it won't happen. So we do a math node, and we're gonna mask it out with the factor. Now those bottom points aren't going to move. I'm gonna do a Control-Shift-D to duplicate this, pop it into the Y, and then scale this down by like 0.1. So now it'll move a little bit on the Y-axis. Let's just show this so you can see. This is like 2. So if you have it big, it's moving back and forth on the Y. We have it small, it's much less. So now we kind of have a swaying effect. And with the spline parameter factor, it's not happening at the very bottom. Now the next part of this effect is making sure we have the bamboo shape done by impacting the curve radius of the curve. So we're going to do a set curve radius. And we're gonna do curve to mesh, curve circle, pop that in, maybe like 0.5. And then this is where the magic's gonna happen. We wanna do this kind of shape on it. So we wanna have something that kind of goes like this. Little hourglass shape repeating. Same thing with the spline parameter for the factor. And we're gonna do a math node. And we're gonna multiply it by like 10. Let's just try this for now. Boom. Huge boys. Good, good, good. So what's happening is it's going from 0 to 1. Now it's from 0 to 10. And if we do another math node and we do a ping pong, and we say like 1, we're now kind of getting this repetition we want to see. We also want to resample the curve right beforehand. Resample curve. And one other thing we want to do is we actually want to do a trim curve right here. Trim curve. With this motion, let's just make it easier to see. So with this motion, it's actually stretching the curves themselves. So sometimes it's longer than what we initially started off with, which was 3, right? So what we can do is we can go right here in the trim curve, move it to length, and then set it to 3, and it will always stay at 3, regardless of how the movement is making it go. So make this bigger so it's easier to see. Let's say 1. It's all getting kind of messed up, but it's staying there, which is good. 0.2, I think is where we want to have it. We have the trim curve, we have the resample, and now we're finishing this curve radius. So honestly, with the ping pong, we're almost there. All we have to do is now change how this kind of curve radius, how this ping pong effect is looking. So if we do a float curve, then pipe this in, we're basically there. So we can move these points around to kind of make the ping pong, to make that bamboo effect. Maybe that's too small. It's 2.2. So we're gonna change these parameters here with the curve radius or for the circle, and then also for this set curve radius, and kind of shaping it. Fill the caps at the top, and we're gonna just kind of work on this a little bit and see what we can do. I think if we do this, it might help it. Nice, we're kind of making that little divot shape. There we go. This is looking way more bamboo-y. Nice. Okay, I think this is, I'm happy with this for now. It was kind of a balancing game. So what I ended up with is I had to resample the curve way more. So it was, I guess, 5 millimeters, and then scaling the factor by 20, and then ping-ponging to 0.5. And then the curve circle was 0.04 meters. And so that is the dimensions I chose to go with. So now that is done. And then what we can also do is we can scale this with the same thing. So float curve, math, and we multiply. And we should get these getting a bit skinnier as they go. Nice. Bit too skinny at the very end. So I'll pull it up a little bit. And now it's looking okay. Yeah, we have the bamboo moving with the W value. And then now we gotta just texture it out. To recap really quick, what we did is we took some grid with whatever we want for the instancing for the bamboo. So we make the grid, we instance the curved lines, we resample it, and then we're using essentially a noise texture in a set position, but we're splitting it up with the separate XYZ and multiplying it by the factor to kind of have only the tips being moving rather than the bases. And then we're also using the combined transform as a matrix transform to make sure that the Z of the noise is being moved on the X and the Y values. That way we have a nice clean kind of movement. Nice. And then we have that kind of going in through there. We trim the curve, we cut off a little bit of the end to make sure that the points will not instance or resample depending on the overall length of the curves, because they'll be always less than the overall max length. We resample it again, and then we're gonna set a curve radius. And then inside there, we're kind of doing this clever way of using the spline parameter, multiplying it, ping-ponging it. That way we have it kind of repeating over a series of values. We're using this float curve to kind of make this bamboo shape on the actual curve itself. And then we're scaling it a little bit with the spline parameter as well. So the tips kind of taper a little bit with this float curve. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Again, this project file will be on Patreon.
Augury.